everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. Best guest ever. Love this guy. 8-time Mr. Olympia champion, the GOAT. The only other Ronnie that I would say is 1,000 times bigger than me, Ronnie Coleman. What's up, Ronnie? How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. What about you?
Great. I wore this shirt just for you. Too bad you don't. You should have trademarked this phrase, Ronnie. Lightweight. You'll never guess.
But I should have.
You know where I actually bought this? A CrossFit competition of all places.
Oh yeah.
So that's how far your catchphrases went all around the world, every sport, everywhere. So welcome back from UK. You had a good trip to Birmingham.
Yeah.
For the Arnold UK, and then you did an appearance at Zone Fitness in London.
Yeah.
Gym over there with Giles. So
yeah,
good time. Well, glad to have you back in the United States of America, Ronnie.
Yeah, me too.
So want to talk Olympia stuff, of course. I know it's early, but man, everyone's already getting hyped up about the Olympia. I wanted to get your early Olympia predictions. I know we're so far away, but the first question I have for you, same coach as you, Chad Nichols, is Big Ramy, our 2-time reigning Mr. Olympia champion. I don't know if you've seen how big and freaky he's looking lately. Do you think he's got a lock on title number 3?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
I don't see nobody, like you said, getting that big in this short amount of time.
True. Who do you think has the best chance at this point of beating him out of? I'll read off the challengers. We got obviously Brandon Curry, a Mr. Olympia champ himself, Hadi Chupan, Nick Walker, William Bonac. We got new guys like Andrew Jack, Blessing Awobidu. We got Hunter Labrada, Ian Valier. There's a good crew of guys going in. Who amongst them do you think has any chance of beating Ramy?
Nobody.
So he's basically the modern Ronnie Coleman, I guess, the Egyptian Ronnie Coleman. Yeah.
Pretty much. At this stage right now, it is, it's going to take somebody to come up with a whole lot more size, to give him a challenge.
Yeah. At your best, I think you would have beat him. I thought you at your best I still haven't seen anyone yet that I think would have beat you at your best come along. But Ramy at his best versus you at your best, what would you have been beating him on?
What would I have not been beating him on?
The biggest things I saw with the differences between your physiques was just a rounder, bubblier look to the muscle. You had rounder muscle shapes, and you had detail, a lot of striations and grooves and splits and cuts.
Yeah.
And that's especially when you came in lighter, like the first 2 Olympias and when you won the Arnold Classic.
Yeah.
Wow, that was insane. The size and muscle detail you had around 245 to 260 when you were coming in at that weight.
Yeah.
It was just nuts. So if you were coaching, if you were Chad, would you think maybe if he came in lighter, he could have some more of that type of look to his muscles?
Oh yeah, for sure. His legs are just overpowering everything right now. If he could just bring up his upper body just a little bit more, I think he'd be spot on. And you got to get a little bit drier too, at the same time. So that's gonna be kind of hard to do. So right now he's got size on just about everybody. Yeah. And ain't nobody going to be able to outsize him, right now. So it's going to take somebody with a lot of conditioning, and a lot of shape, to beat him on that size.
Did you watch the show at the Arnold UK? Did you get to watch it?
Yeah. I watched the whole show. Okay.
So Andrew Jack, who won the Texas Pro and then this, a lot of people think he's the man to push Ramy this year.
No.
I mean, how well? Not yet. What do you like about his physique, and what do you think he still needs to work on?
Yeah, he needs to work on everything just about right now. He's got a real thick chest, and that's good for him. And he needs to get his back a lot thicker. His legs need to be a little bit thicker also. He got young muscle. He don't have a lot of maturity to his body yet.
Yeah.
muscle is real young looking, so he needs to get a little bit more crispier, you know, a little bit more conditioning in his body, and along with thickness.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's not a lot of thickness there, and you lose the illusion of being big and hard. You know, when you don't have that thickness, right? You know.
Yeah.
That's the only thing he's missing, and that's gonna come with time.
Okay. Do you think his height, being 6'2", works for him or against him?
Or it works out. That's probably what is. That's what's working against him right now, and it's gonna always be that way. You know, it's much harder to put muscle on a longer frame than it is a shorter one. You know.
Yeah.
That's been proven over the years. If you look at all of Mr. Olympia's, the only other tall one out there was Arnold, and that was way back when, you know. Yeah. And that's a totally different era in itself, you know. They didn't have guys that knew what we know now, you know.
Yeah, you know, this came up in a discussion the other day on online with video comments. The ideal height for a bodybuilder, for a Mr. Olympia especially. And once I figured it out, from 1984 all the way until 2005 was your last win. All those years, Mr. Olympia was 5'11".
Yeah.
Lee Haney was 5'11", Dorian, and you're all 5'11". So that must be the magic number.
Yeah. So you say he's 6'2"?
He's 6'2", yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that's going way against him.
Yeah.
And how tall is Ramy? He's like 5'9", 10.
I want to say he's 5'10". Yeah. He's definitely, you know, I'm 5'7.5" now. I'm shrinking, so it's hard. You guys are all tall to me, so it's all the same.
Yeah.
Last one of the current guys I want to ask you about is Nick Walker, the Mutant. He's a young kid, but he is thick. I don't know if you've seen how big he is now, so he won the Arnold last year at, like, I say he's about 5'6", and he was about 250 on stage, and he's bigger now. So somebody that, I don't want to say short because I'm not much taller, but does someone that height, like him or Hadi Choopan, who's maybe that height a little, or Bonac, do these guys have a chance against Ramy, who's, you know, probably about 5'10"? No.
He's a young guy too. He's got a ways to go too before he come against Ramy. You know, he's big, like you say, but big ain't all. Is not what bodybuilding is all about. You know,
if it was
shape and conditioning, you know, too. You know,
who's the biggest? I mean, heaviest. I think the heaviest guy ever, I want to say, was the late Greg Kovacs. You remember him?
Yeah, of course I remember. Like yesterday.
Yeah, I think he competed at like 330 or 340 or something, but the shape was just, it was awful. It was
awful.
Yeah. Anyway,
he would never gotten there.
So switching gears, another thing I want to talk to you about, since we're talking about Olympia, we've talked about your wins so many times, but I thought it might be cool to talk about your first and last Olympias and see what stands out in your memory, because we always talk about your first Olympia win. I've seen you talk about that in about 40, 50 interviews.
Yeah.
You don't talk too much about, nobody asked you about 92. So 1992, you had turned pro in Poland toward the end of 91, I think it was.
Yeah.
And at that time, the world amateur champion got an automatic invitation to the following year's Mr. Olympia. So that's how you ended up going out in your rookie season to Helsinki, Finland.
Yeah.
So there were 22 men in the show that year. The top 5 were Dorian Yates, was his first win. Kevin Levroni was a rookie. He took second. Lee Labrada was third. Sean Ray fourth. Fifth was the late Momo Benaziza. And in 12th place, it was the return of Lou Ferrigno after 17 years away from the stage. And you didn't place at that one, but you know, obviously you made up for it later on. But what do you remember most about Finland, your very first Mr. Olympia?
I remember going there and having a good time. I remember being backstage with all the guys and watching them warm up and seeing how much bigger and thicker they were over me. And I remember just just being glad to be there for the most part, you know, because I had so much fun. I never even thought I'd ever make the Olympia. But the year before, I was in the audience at the Mr. Olympia when Lee Haney won his 8th.
Yeah.
And I was still an amateur at the time.
Right.
and everybody was taking pictures with me. And most people were saying, man, ain't you up there?
Right.
I'm like, oh, I'll never make it to that stage. I'm just, here just be security, I'm like, I'm an amateur, I don't think I'll ever be able to turn pro.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever met you. Do you remember? You don't remember, but
Oh, no.
you had I think it said security or IFBB or something. It was a polo shirt.
Yeah.
You were walking around and everybody, like you said, people were coming up to you. And I was one of those people. I said, who are you, man? You look, are you a pro? Or you should be, I think I said that same stupid thing. You should be up on the stage because, man, you already had these 22, 23-inch arms busting out of there. And you were off season, I think, back then. Well, you weren't off season. You were dieting for the Worlds, right?
Yeah, I was dieting for the World.
Yeah. So what'd you turn pro at, about 215? Yeah,
215. Well, you know what? I was 215 at the Nationals, but I lost weight going to the World. Wow. So I ended up being like 202, 203, because we didn't have no food to eat. So when I got there, we didn't have food. So I started losing all this weight. Of course, I started getting harder and harder,
Yeah.
So that made it that much easier for me to win that show.
Yeah, and I want to remind people, the reason you got selected for the team was that was the 91 Nationals where you took fourth, Kevin won. Yeah. That was the greatest amateur class in the history of bodybuilding. Yeah. Everybody, Flex Wheeler was in there, Chris Cormier, you, Matt Mendenhall, Bob Ciccarello.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Paul DeMayo, the late Paul DeMayo.
Yeah, it was nuts. But the only person who showed up to take the drug test to go to the Worlds out of all those guys was you.
It was 43 guys in my class.
Yeah. And, if people doubt you were natural when you turned pro, I think we just really confirmed it. You turned pro at about 203 pounds at 5'11", right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, guys, if he was on drugs, don't you think he would have been a little bit bigger than that? Come on.
Yeah. A lot bigger.
Seriously, wow.
You know what I weighed in, Ron?
Mm-mm.
I'll never forget it because I didn't know what it was. It was 88 kilos.
Ah, I don't know what that is. I need my calculator.
It's 193.6.
You weren't 193.6.
Yeah, that's what I weighed in at.
You weighed in at 193. You would have been a light heavy.
That's what I weighed in at.
So you're saying you weighed in at 193 pounds in Poland?
I think I did.
Jeez. That's insane.
I would really like to go back and see,
Yeah. Every time I talk to Kevin about these overseas shows, like the pro shows, it boggles my mind how a lot of these promoters had no food for you guys. Like there were no restaurants, nothing.
No food, nothing. They didn't have anything for it. The restaurant didn't even have food. You know what they had? They had cold cuts.
Ridiculous.
And that was this was back in the time, I think, when the country was in the process of changing from communist to democratic democracy. And they just didn't have, basic needs back then.
Dude, the one thing,
if you got struggle, you know how we survived
catching rabbits and eating them. I don't know.
That would have been a good idea. No, the guy who I was rooming with, his wife had cooked a whole bunch of chicken and froze it, and she gave him pancakes. Also, a box of pancakes.
Wow.
That you make, on a hot plate.
Yeah.
And we ate pancakes.
Pancakes and chicken.
And chicken.
That's
the only thing we had.
Cold cuts.
They didn't have anything at the restaurant, nothing whatsoever.
This is an outrage, but it's 31 years ago. I guess I can't. I guess I shouldn't cry. Okay, so that was your first Olympia. So how many years later was this? 2009, 2002. So 15 years later was your last Olympia. 2007. You had already won 8 times. You'd taken second to Jay in 2006.
Yeah.
And this last Olympia was Jay again. Victor Martinez, a very controversial second. Dexter, that was the first time Dexter made the top 3. You were in 4th, and Dennis Wolf was in 5th.
Yeah.
I remember famous picture of you backstage, like you didn't want to leave because that had been your home for the Olympia was your show. So I don't want to get too emotional about it, but what was that final Olympia like for you?
It wasn't that much fun, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It was kind of emotional and kind of a little bit depressing,
Yeah. But, obviously you knew you had injuries by then. You knew, the injuries had accumulated. It was time. When did you have your first surgery shortly after that?
Yeah, I had my first surgery in December.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that same year. The Olympia was in September, I think.
Yep.
And I had surgery like, 3 months later?
Yeah, because what was going on? I remember there was nerve damage on.
I had a herniated disc in my back.
Yeah, but there was.
And they did a laminectomy on me.
What's that?
Well, they just shaved that disc that's poking out. They shave it down.
Ouch.
So it don't push up against the nerves.
Okay.
And block, blood flow to my feet and legs, because that's what hurted me the most. My feet were real numb after walking like 10 feet. They would get real numb and start. I mean, the pain was unbearable almost.
Yeah. I mean, everyone who knows you and has followed you knows you were a warrior. You pushed through pain like no other human being did, and did some insane things in the gym. But how could you even train for that last Olympia when you were in that kind of pain and that kind of limitation?
Sheer determination.
Wow. Well, that's why you're Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah.
Giles and I were talking earlier today doing a preview for the France show, and he said so many places you went, regular people in London recognized you, like people that you would never think they knew anything about bodybuilding, but they said, Ronnie Coleman. They kept jumping up and taking pictures with you, like the restaurant.
Yeah, people riding down the street stopping. And yelling at me.
I mean, you're used to it by now, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm used to it by now.
Well, that's it. Yeah, that's it. I hope to talk to you closer to Olympia, because we know who's going in it and stuff. But I always come to you because you're brutally honest with your assessments of these people. You have full respect for them, just like I do. But you call it like you see it. If somebody needs to bring this or that part up or whatever, they need better condition, you always let them know.
Yeah. Ain't no need in being dishonest about it. It ain't gonna help nothing. It ain't gonna help the situation none. Ain't gonna help me none either.
Cool. So that's it, man. Thank you so much for your time, Ronnie. Always a pleasure speaking to you. Anything you want to promote? Anything coming up?
No, I don't have anything. I just had my show and everything,
Yeah, check out your channel. It's called Ronnie Coleman, and it's got great content on YouTube.
My YouTube, yeah. And then I got my website, ronniecoleman.net. This is the best year we've had since I started my company. Yeah. The clothing line is going pretty good. It's all on there. We got new products and everything. So everything's going pretty good for me.
Cool. My favorite videos on your channel, I want everyone to check out when you do Ask Me Anything, and you answer just about the craziest questions people come up with. You don't shy away. You answer anything. I love it.
Yeah, I just did that last week. So it should be coming out here in the next week or so.
Cool. I'll check that out. I really enjoy those ones, most of all.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that this time around too.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ronnie. Guys, check out his channel, Ronnie Coleman, on YouTube right here. Of course, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, like the video, and leave some comments. I don't know if Ronnie will respond, but I'll get back to you, I promise. Yeah, we got some revelations, because this is the first time I've ever heard you talk about weighing in that light at the IPB Worlds. That is astonishing. Wow.
Yeah, didn't have no food. So I like I said, we had pancakes and chicken breast.
Yeah, I mean, it's changed so much today. You go to the shows now, there's a competitor menu at the restaurant.
Yeah,
everything. They really take care of the guys.
So much different now. Yeah.
Cool. Well, you did it. That's why the guys in your era were tougher. You did these things. You competed under some conditions that the guys today would have cried like babies.
It was real tough back then. Real tough.
Yeah, we had to walk 10 miles in snow to school every day. All that. So cool. All right. Thank you so much, Ronnie. Appreciate it. This has been Ronline Report with 8-time Mr. Olympia, the greatest of all time, Ronnie Coleman. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, buddy.